Welcome to A Breath of Fresh Footy. I'm Matt. It's great to be back, and it's lovely to have Pete back with us. The Rivals segment, we get to talk about Man United and Arsenal. Makes me very, very happy. And Pete, this week it was really good to see the teams back again and playing in the Carabao Cup. And welcome.
Matty, thanks, mate. I tell you what, it was great to see them back, and it was actually interesting watching. I saw some of the play of Man U and Luton, and it was interesting because the ground was actually quite dark. It was actually quite dark. It was really fascinating. 3-0, convincing? No, not really. They were more convincing in the second half of that game than the first. There's so many questions out there. I tell you what, I know we're going to get into Brighton very soon for the EPL this weekend. But anyway, Arsenal, you guys had a good win.
Yeah, very chilled. It was the most comfortable game. I was just so chilled the whole game. I thought we were in control. They had that one shot that hit the crossbar, but really it was just game as usual. I expected a lot more of a challenge, but both teams had a lot of outs. I think Leicester had 10 outs and we had 7 outs. So it was basically an Arsenal academy team that went on there, and they did a really, really good job. It was great to have Pepe on, and Hecky B came on to the field on the right-hand side, the right back, and did that beautiful playthrough. It was like very reminiscent of Bayern Munich days when he used to run through Bayern Munich's defense.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, he did the same thing, and that was a really, really chilled out goal. But for you guys in that game, it was very important that you got that penalty and kicked the first goal in that first half, and that settled.
Look, it was. Juan Mata, he played well. Yeah. I think when I really look at Manchester United, and I look honestly for the Man U supporters out there, I think Man U is going to have a really subnormal, shocking season. I really do. I think that's going to come into the foreplay this year, because the thing that will let us down is going to be the defense. That's it. End of story.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised that Marta isn't playing in your first team. He just made you guys have that a lot more creativity. He's really good with his crosses. I like it that he just brings a little bit of energy to the team, and he's just I think he's still such a great player. I don't get why he isn't in your first team, to be honest. So he did a lot more than what I saw on the EPL weekend.
Oh, look, absolutely. The way they played against Crystal Palace, to come up. Look, everyone knew they would beat Luton Town. And Dean Henderson, he did a fantastic stop. Absolutely phenomenal. He did really well. De Gea's he'll be back in goal. It's going to be an interesting season, because as soon as De Gea stuffs up or he just does one miss, it's going to be all over. Henderson will step in, and that's the way I believe that Ollie should play this. But then again, God, look at Chelsea. They've got Mendy on board now.
Crazy what they've done with their transfers. It's just phenomenal. But again, as you're saying with Chelsea, the thing with them is that they have to gel together as a team.
That's right.
It's going to take a long time. When you change the team up that much, it's going to change things. But what I noticed with their Carabao Cup game was that because they had a few of the players that played last year, they absolutely crucified Burnley the sense that they were actually matched up with them okay at the beginning of the game. But was it Burnley? I think it was. They matched up well with them for the first few minutes. But then, of course, that class of Chelsea, because they've been able to play as a team, those youngsters came in, they actually had a really convincing performance, and it looked sort of more better and less disjointed than their first team.
Yeah, Kai Havertz, young kid, he got a hat trick. Yeah. He got a hat trick, absolutely fantastic. Once again, it really comes back to how the teams are playing quicker football at the moment. Yeah. And, you're starting to see it everywhere. And I just think you start to you bring in some of these younger players, and we can talk more about Ed Woodward very soon, and we're going to. There's an interesting article he came out with this week. But you know what? If you don't bring players in, you know, even though you've gone through a bit of an unbeaten run for the second half of last season, that only finished, a couple of months ago, you're going to be coming in, you know, there's nothing there to really give you a bit of oomph. There's nothing there to push you. There's nothing there to bring you up. You know, it's, but anyway, that's life.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it just, for me, it's fascinating to see like how some of our teams, when they bring in their like academy teams and stuff, a lot of them actually played a lot last season together. And you can see that because they've played together more, it's the way that the team gels, they're more fluid, they know each other's moves, they know when to run. I find that that's why it's been interesting to watch the Carabao Cup because, yeah, it doesn't mean, as you very, very correctly pointed out, lots of times, if you get lots of new signings, it doesn't mean they're going to hit the ground running straight away. They've got to get used to the team structure. They've got to get the pace of the EPL. And yeah, it's going to be amazing to see what happens this weekend because, you know, you guys are playing Brighton. I'm sure there's going to be lots of changes to the lineup. And then you're going to play Brighton again, I heard, in the Carabao Cup, just like Arsenal gets to play Liverpool.
Yeah.
1 week because of the Carabao Cup. So it's going to be fascinating to see both teams' lineups and how much they're going to change during the week.
Oh, look, absolutely. And okay, I'm going to tell you this right now. I've got some sad news from Man U supporters because I tell you what, Brighton, don't forget, coming off the win over Newcastle, they've actually got a bit of spring in their step at the moment. Manchester United, they were sluggish against Crystal Palace. You know, if you look at it defensively, Maguire, Lindelof, mate, it's all sloppy. In fact, the back four are sloppy. They're just plain sloppy. You know, and that's the heartbreaking thing about it. Because, I mean, when you think about the midfield, brought in Donny van der Beek with Pogba, Fernandes, you know, there's all that midfield there, you've got the experience that really came through, and especially with Fernandes, you know, I mean, brilliant player. You look up forward, look, we're okay. When you look at Martial, you got Rashford, you know, Greenwood and co. They're fine up forward. They're fine up forward. It's the defense of Manchester United, and I think that may hurt them this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. If Brighton decide to get you on the counter-attack, then yeah, it's going to be quite full on. But again, you know, you get to play them twice. You'll have 2 different teams that will line up against them, I'm sure, because they'll want to conserve players from injury and stuff. I mean, it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what happens. And then, you know, for us as well, it's interesting because normally we're scared to go to Anfield because we're worried we're going to get battered. But the last 2 times we've played Liverpool, we've actually come up trumps or we've matched them, you know, quite nicely. And I think it's going to be a real interesting test to see how much we've improved from since last year because they knocked us out of the cup.
Yep.
I think it was 5-5 on penalties as well. So we'll see, and that was their reserves team that played our top team, you know, at that time. So I think we've improved a lot. But yeah, I'm fascinated to see what lineups are going to happen and how it's all going to unfold because it's a fascinating season. And I'm glad that we actually played them in the Community Shield. Now, I'm really...
yeah, look, absolutely. Look, honestly, my gut feels so far, it's going to be a 2-horse race all the way. I think Liverpool and Man City are classes above everybody else. There's no doubt about that. And I think the opening weekend for Man City last weekend, it showed they've got that class. De Bruyne is just amazing.
Phenomenal.
You know, so they've got that class there. I think they're going to be very hard. Pep Guardiola is just, he's class. He is just complete class, and he brings that through in his team as well. And Liverpool. So I think everybody else will struggle for those places. But I'll tell you what, Manchester United, the last time at the start of last season when they played Brighton, they got done. So it's not going to be good. It's not, I mean, look, even though the game starts at 9:30 Eastern Time Australia for us, which is absolutely fantastic Saturday night. I can't wait to actually watch the game. And my darling wife's going to watch it with me this time, which is double thumbs up. Uh, I know. But the amazing part about that, though, is I am really, really nervous. I mean, here's a team. The size, and I've got to make this one statement. And I was reading today, and I actually heard this, and it was John Aloisi actually also. He said this today as well. The size, the stature of Manchester United is over. The stature of being one of the best is over. It's well over. It's interesting. And I'll go back. And I know I said this to you just before. Ed Woodward actually came out during the week, has said that they're not going to do any more signings at all. He said, so the club's lost $148 million, right, due to coronavirus, and they don't want to do any more signings. Now, so that being said, because you know why? Because the Glazers can't put any more in their pockets, right? Because there's nothing coming in. There's no revenue from the gates and that. So they're putting a kibosh on, on all transfers. Now, it's actually really interesting because I wake up, I like to see what's going on in the transfer market. And when I see Man United at the moment, I'm just cringing and going, whoever's putting this news out there, you know what, get it together, because you're spreading fake news. It's crap. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's all I'm going to say. There is so much. Just looking at the financials. The financials from Manchester United won't be put out to public until after the transfer window was closed. And there's a reasoning behind that. There's just so much. The money that's been lost in Manchester United has been absolutely amazing. I mean, we've lost over $1 billion. Manchester City, and these are facts. You can actually go and find this out. Manchester City, they've actually gained $1 billion. Man United have lost $1 billion.
Unbelievable.
You look at the transfer market, you see what Chelsea's done. You even look at, Liverpool, they've picked it up. Arsenal, you guys have done well.
We're still looking for people. I mean,
yeah,
I'm happy with what we've done, but at least we're not going to stop spending unless we can't get the players that we've been linked to. I know that on good faith and authority that at least the one thing that Arsenal is doing still during this transfer period, they want to fix that midfield. There is an urgency from up top with Arteta. Sure, maybe he might not be able to because we've lost a lot of money. We've lost like 100 million because, if the stadium doesn't open, these facts where you're saying, if the stadium doesn't open for Arsenal, that's $100 million in revenue gone.
That's right.
Season. But I think we're going to pick up a couple of midfielders, and we keep getting linked with players. So that's always, I feel, a good sign, even if some of it isn't the most legitimate news. If you're consistently in there all the time, finding midfielders and stuff, then that's. But for me, the two big signings this year was seeing Aubameyang keep with the club, and also Gabriel coming in. I can't believe he chose us over you guys. And
no, but it doesn't surprise me, Matt, because when I look at it, there's a lot of players out there, and I know we've spoken about this already, that snub Man United, because you know what? If you look at it, the board have got to be more responsible. All of the transfers, they go to the board. The board say yay, no, and they throw everything up in the air. At the moment, the board's sitting there and they're undecided. The board of Manchester United are just sitting there, just going, I don't know what to do.
It's a disaster.
Look, a complete disaster. But you know what? There is a good thing about it as well. And I think for any football team out there, and these are the times that you go through, and it's you stick by them and always never leave their side, because then the day will come good. And that's what I love about football.
Yeah.
It's just like, we've had our glory days. Those glory days are gone.
Yeah.
The team's changed.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really get actually peeved off when people start keep comparing back to the good old days, Sir Alex Ferguson, and it's just like, look, he was great. That's so the past. Look at the future.
Yeah. But I mean, also, I'm because it's so Arsenal the way that you're thinking at the moment, because gone through this. We've been going through this for a long time. But I mean, also during our glory days, the EPL was never backed as much throughout its, with this much monetary value. I mean, if you're seeing players like Rodriguez, Doherty, all of them going to smaller clubs than what they used to, of course, you can see that the league is evening it out a lot more, and you're not going to have all of this huge domination over a period of time. I mean, we've seen Manchester City being a powerhouse for the last 7 or 8 years. If they prove to be powerhouses for 20 years, then you can say, yes, they've done what Arsenal have done and what Man United have done. But I just don't see it, because now Liverpool's come up and they're strong. I don't think you're going to see these domination periods from the big clubs. However,
I agree.
However, the only thing that at the moment that separates the big clubs from the little ones are the big clubs like us two in particular. If we keep playing European football, we will always have bigger squads. We have to have bigger squads. And that's what will differentiate from the lower squads in the EPL. They don't have the monetary value as much. They don't have as big squads. So, that's where I see will be the difference. However, doesn't mean that the quality of the squad is great. It's just a bigger squad. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, look, absolutely. And that's what I was saying. It's the depth. That depth, and especially when you get a season where we're at the moment. Yeah, the break was a lot smaller. So then now they've got more games to play in a shorter time. Yeah. And so that depth, you need that depth right throughout. Now, Tottenham, okay, we play Brighton this weekend, then we've got Tottenham after that. And Gareth Bale, we playing his first game. And, after what Son Heung-min did on the weekend by scoring 4 goals was absolutely phenomenal. And they were classy goals. They were just classy goals.
Yeah, very much so. But I mean, also, it's going to be one of these seasons where, a lot of these clubs, they really rely on their home fans and they're not going to have them. So the home ground advantage is very nullified, I feel. So it's going to be a very up and down season. So it's all about trying to bank as many wins as you can at the beginning of the season. And then you're going to go through your patches. But it's about actually getting points through those patches. So maybe you don't win as many games, but if you can draw and get at least that 1 or 2 points that you need, and you keep the points table ticking, I think you're going to have a very, very good season. So I reckon a team that loses, let's say the top team this year loses 4 games, which is a huge possibility because of
COVID. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I think if you lose 4 games this season, you're going to be right up the top. Just from my analysis and seeing how all the teams are playing, it's going to be very, very important to bank wins. And, it's exciting to see Arsenal this year come out straight away with 2 wins, because normally we've lost a game by now, So, that's why when I saw you guys lose, I was like, oh, no, I know how you feel, because I'm used to seeing us lose the first game. We don't normally lose the first game of the season, and it's because we haven't sorted out our transfers. We haven't done the right business. And that's what is really sad about what's going on with Man United, because they're not doing the right business. They're not acting like a big club, Pete,
No, you're dead right. I mean, when the owners take out so much money and there's nothing left in the coffers, and you've got a chairman who comes out during the week and says, because of COVID-19, we're not going to do any more signings. And it's just like, really? So that means there's no other team in the EPL that has spent any money. You start to look at all these things, and it's just like, it's almost like they're trying to buy some time. I don't know what they're trying to buy with it.
But you can't afford to have your supporter base scared about playing Brighton, of all teams,
I know. No. And, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they asked him after the game with Luton Town about transfers. There was no answer. Absolutely no answer at all. And so you start to look at it and just go, okay, so now he's got to tinker with what we've got. But when our defence are as bad as they are, oh my God, it could be an absolute horrible season.
Yeah, well, I think out of the top 8 teams, your defence is probably the same as Everton's. The only thing that Everton I see is better is that they've got a better midfield.
Yeah.
they've got an absolutely world class midfield with Richarlison and what's his name again, Rodriguez. James
Yeah.
Rodriguez is just absolute class. I'm sorry, if Pogba keeps playing the way that he is, Rodriguez is going to absolutely pants Pogba.
Look, Pogba's game against Crystal Palace was garbage. It's just, I'm not impressed with Pogba at all. Fernandes ran rings around him last season. And I just think this season, I know you got Donny van Beek. He's going to be on the bench. He'll be coming from the bench on. So the depth in that midfield spot is actually okay as long as there's no injuries. But like everyone, if we do suffer a couple of injuries, if Rashford goes down, Greenwood goes down, a midfielder goes down, I tell you what, then it really it thins out.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
But I mean, the one thing that you can do, you can take solace in, is that have a look at Chelsea. They had all these youngsters that had to blood in because they had that transfer ban. It seems like the reason why they did well and they were able to get in the top four was that they really played for the badge. They really took.
That's correct.
Really took, solace in the fact that they could play for Manchester United. They realised it was a huge privilege. I feel some of your first team players are just going on the ride and they don't care about it. I've seen it at our club. I've seen it at Spurs. I've seen it everywhere. Even Everton.
Absolutely.
Spurs. Over the last 4 years, but they've been such a poor team. But it always starts at the top. Usman, who left Arsenal and went to Everton, has put in a lot of money into that club. And you see that they're starting to make the correct decisions. And getting that manager of Ancelotti was a huge thing because it really turns them from like a second-tier club into a top-8 club because he's a proven manager,
Yeah, and don't forget, the only reason Rodriguez went across there because he's been with Ancelotti before. So there you go. Thank you very much. Hey, guess what? Oh, my God, I know this guy. Real Madrid suck. He just wanted out of there. He's gone over. There's my mate, Carlos. I'm here. Done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
I
can't believe Arteta had the pulling power. So he must be doing something right because I really thought Aubameyang was gone. I really did. I thought he was going to go to Barca. I thought he was going to go to Inter or Real. But, it's all to do with the manager, isn't it? And I really feel Ole, as much as he's got that sort of Manchester United blood, I just don't think he's got that pulling power. He's like being run like a puppet, isn't it? Because he should be a manager. He shouldn't be just a coach. He should be dealing with all of the transfers. He should be getting what he wants. But he's sort of run at the top.
It's actually interesting with Ole because when you watch a game and then when they show him in the stands and he's just watching the little screen and just following the game, it's interesting because you never see him he doesn't get out of his seat. He doesn't really go off. He doesn't really show emotion. Now that's fine because I mean that's obviously his managerial skills. That's the way how he comes across. But I just go to think and go, well, yeah, okay. But do the players actually believe in you enough? That's a big question.
Huge.
Hey, let's go through. Who do you think? Let's go through some tips. Who do you reckon for the weekend? But first up, and let's start with the big one because Saturday night.
Yep.
Brighton Man U.
Yep.
Give me your tip, and I'll give you mine.
All right. I think. Look, if we're going to go team wise, I would probably say 2-1 to Man United. But I reckon this will be a draw. I'm actually going to predict a 1-1 draw at the moment because I think if you have a terrible defeat again, I don't think it'll be acceptable and something's going to happen. So I think 1-1 for that game. What do you think for that one?
Look, Brighton Man U, I'm with you for a draw, but of my gut feelings, I think Brighton will win in the 87th minute, 2-1.
Right.
And they will sink Manchester United. I think they're just too quick, and I reckon they'll come over the top at the end.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Hey, so
absolutely.
I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Let's see how that plays out because I predicted 3-0. this week in the Carabao Cup as well, with you guys winning, and that worked. So let's see what happens. And then the next game is that's the Crystal Palace and Everton, isn't it?
Yeah, Crystal Palace, Everton. Look, this one for me, I think, was a great win for Crystal Palace last weekend. To back that up against Everton, I think Everton are going to be too strong. I'm going to go 2-0 victory for Everton there. I just think Kasper Schmeichel in goal again. He's a phenomenal keeper. The surname really, says it all. But Rodriguez, he's playing some great football at the moment. Yeah, look, I think Everton will definitely do that one 2-0.
I'm going to go a little bit more epic. I think that Everton's defence is a weakness. However, I think they're going to score lots of goals, and I reckon they can do 3 in a row, 5-2 results. Okay. They're on fire at the moment. They've got Lewin has just had a hat trick over the weekend. They're number 9, and I think he'll get another one. And I reckon they'll do a 5-2. So,
okay. Hey,
mate,
we'll check it out and see how we go. Alrighty, so West Brom Chelsea.
Oh, hard. Like, I think Chelsea should win this quite easily 3-0, but I think West Brom, I didn't think they played that badly against who were they playing? They played Everton last week. And without that red card, I thought they could have given them, it would have been potentially could have been a draw, and they should actually have kicked 3 goals in that first 30 minutes. They were way ahead of Everton, but then, of course, the red card changed everything, and Everton's got a classy midfield. So, yeah, Chelsea 3-0 for me. You?
I'm going to go 4-0. I just think straight up. Kai Havertz, the hat trick that he got, he's starting to really move into himself within the Chelsea squad. Timo Werner, well, we know, look, he just needs to start firing and start getting a couple of goals under the belt. And that's going to come sooner. I think West Brom will maybe a bit of a turner. I'm going 4-0 for Chelsea.
Woo! All right. Yeah, there we go. So Chelsea, let's see what happens with the money that they've spent. I'm really intrigued to see if Lampard can actually manage this team and get them to win things. I'm very intrigued because if he gets the results this year, I think he's a bye-bye. I think he's a goner. So,
look, after spending over £200 million, which is equivalent to 340 million Australian dollars on players. It's like taking the best of the best. If you don't have a successful season, see you later.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think a League Cup will cut it either, or an FA Cup. You need to win something solid.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Burnley, Southampton. Your thoughts?
Oh, gee, you know what? I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw here. I reckon. Southampton. Yeah. I just. It's a tough one because to really look at both teams, and I haven't had a really good hard look at both teams. So I'm just going to sit with a 2-2 draw. I think they're pretty even.
Right. I thought Southampton actually played quite reasonably well over the weekend. They just didn't take their chances. They didn't take their chances in the first 30 minutes. That was the problem. Again, they did a West Bromwich. They had a lot of play. But of course, if you take your chances, then when you get more tired and fatigued and you're up by 2 or 3, you got the adrenaline pumping. And of course, I think because they didn't do that, they got a little bit deflated and they just got run over the top. So I reckon it could be 2-1 to Southampton, actually. So that's my thoughts on it. I reckon this is going to be a cracker, this next one. Sheffield United and Leeds. All
right, go for it.
Cracker. All right, I think a 4-3 to Leeds again. Woo! They like that scoreline. And I think Leeds, for me, again, they've just got to find a way to tweak that defence, don't they? They've got the firepower at the top, but again, they suffer like Everton. They don't have a real good CB, So that's why I think it's going to be 4-3 to them. But I think they've got a great strike power. So what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, look, I reckon Leeds will win this one. I'm actually going to go 5-1.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, 5-1. I reckon Leeds are really showing something. They've come up from the Championship up to the Premier League. They're showing some real guts. I think they may suffer a little bit probably about just halfway during the season. I think they will just start to fall off a little bit.
Mhm.
These early wins for Leeds are going to be vital for their mid-table presence towards the end of the season. That's my opinion. But so I reckon, yeah, definitely they'll kick 5 on that one.
Oh, good. All right, cool. So between us, we think they're gonna. Yeah, well, it's 4.5 goals. That's a lot of goals, isn't it? You know. So
Well, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and then this is going to be a fascinating game because Newcastle, or it's Tottenham versus Newcastle, but Newcastle came off a pretty big win over the week on the Carabao Cup, didn't they? They won something pretty big.
Yeah. But then when we look at what happened with Newcastle last weekend, they got done 3-0 to Brighton. Now, I'm after the way Tottenham played last weekend, Kane only scored 1 goal. Son Heung-min came out and just went, thank you very much. And he really showed his credentials.
Mhm.
I'm going to throw this one down. Look, I think it'll be 4-0 to Tottenham.
Okay, cool. Nice. I think it's going to be a closer game than that. And we'll see actually if Tottenham are the real deal and they can be consistent or they're pretenders. So I reckon they won't play at those sort of heights because I feel Newcastle's going to sit right back against them. I reckon it could be a 2-1 victory to Tottenham, but I wouldn't be surprised if the scoreline actually reversed. So there you go. That's my thought.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's interesting. The only reason, and I'll give you just another reason why I gave that scoreline is because don't forget now, Gareth Bale's there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all of a sudden, you've got this lift of morale as well.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, let's move on.
We'll see. We'll see. Oh, this is a cracker. This is a cracker.
This is
Leicester. Ooh.
Look, Man City, Leicester. Look straight out. I reckon Man City will do this one 4-2. I just think De Bruyne, the midfield of Man City at the moment, Aguero. I reckon Aguero may get a hat trick in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Leicester City once again defensively. Yeah, that's what I'm going to hit.
Yeah, I reckon 4-2 sounds pretty good to me as well. I think we actually battered Leicester in the Carabao Cup. I know they had a lot of changes, but we haven't won there in a long time. And if you have Guardiola's structure, which is what Arteta's doing with his footy at the moment, if he brings that to this game and it's Man City's home game, yeah, no chance. So 4-2, easy. So.
Yep. All right. Well, this next game is interesting because good old Wolves, they're playing West Ham.
This is tough because I thought West Ham played really well against us. They should have won that game. Honestly, they battered us for 40 minutes of that. 40 minutes of that game from the 30-minute mark of the first half till about the 60th or 70th minute of that game. Yeah, they absolutely slammed us. But the problem with them is that when they went and they wanted to control the game, they don't have the personnel to do that. They're much better as a counter-attacking team. So if they make the same mistake that they did with Arsenal and try to control the ball, we counter-attacked them and we won. Wolves is the best team that showcases the counter-attack. That's how they've been so good over the last 3 or 4 years. So I reckon 2-1 to Wolves. But if West Ham play like they did against us, they'll be very hard to beat.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Look, I personally think Wolves will come out of this one 2-1 against West Ham. Look, Wolves last week, right? They lost 3-1 to Man City. Man City's first game, so they really came out. It was De Bruyne's show last week. Look, I do honestly see that Wolves will win this, without a doubt. Actually,
Okay.
I think they're too strong, and I reckon Wolves will probably finish around about 8th or 7th in the table for me this year. Anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they've sold a lot of players off and they brought a lot of new players in. So Wolves is sort of like a lower version of Chelsea. We'll see how those players really gel in, and we'll see how they combine and how they play their fluid footy. But I mean, what I love about Wolves is I think Nuno is just a fabulous coach. He's one of my favourites. He's got a really clever mind. He's basically bought the whole Portuguese squad, hasn't he? You know, with all of his insane. So we'll see. We will.
Absolutely.
Fulham, Aston Villa.
This is going to be a cracker. I really reckon this will be a great game. Now, Mitrovic, I like him. He reminds me a bit like Cantona, right? Yeah. He's a bit rough and ready. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I reckon Fulham's got a damn good chance here of actually knocking off Aston Villa. I'm actually going to go 3-2 on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just got that feeling that Fulham will just come out. They will need a win under the belt. I reckon this is an opportunity.
Absolutely, but I think it's going to be the other way around. And the only reason why I say that is that Villa really strengthened their defence by signing Emi Martinez, and you can see the quality of his goalkeeping when he played his final 6 months with Arsenal. He was phenomenal. He was the main instrument as to why we won the FA Cup, and then he was huge in the penalties with Liverpool when we played them in the Shield. And then last week, of course, what was he able to do? He stopped a penalty. He is an absolute freak show keeper, and that's the only reason why I think Fulham won't win. He will be the determining factor. So I think it's going to be the other way, 3-2 to Villa, just because of Martinez, because he's a freak, and I've seen plenty of him. So I think that was the best signing that Aston Villa has done in a very, very long time.
I mean, my only concern with Aston Villa is, I think they had 16 shots on goal, 16 shots at goal, and only 2 of them were on goal last week.
Yeah.
You know, and that is a concern. All right, here's the big one. This is the humongous game.
Yeah.
Liverpool Arsenal, fire away. What do you reckon?
Look, we've been battered there so many times over the last 5 years, but it's the first time that I can say in 5 to 6 years that Liverpool would actually be slightly concerned, because it's not very often that Arsenal have beaten them twice. You know, the previous games, they've beaten them twice in a row. I think it could be very different because I think Liverpool's got done some excellent transfer, and I think they've strengthened their team where they've needed to strengthen. But I think we'll give them a good game, actually. My prediction is it'll either be a 1-1 draw or a 2-2 draw. And I think if we do that, I think we've done an excellent job, because they'll be also saving up for the Carabao Cup. So, I reckon 1-1 or 2-2. So that's my thoughts. What about you?
All right. Look, I think it will be a good first half. I think the second half, Liverpool will come on top. I'm expecting it to be 4-2 to Liverpool. I think Mo Salah, I think Mane, I think they're going to be the guys who will just really tear it apart in the second half. I would expect probably the first half to be 0-0, and then the second half to really come out and just show a bit of class.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. The only reason why I think we might do okay, and that's why I differ with you, is I think that Liverpool, for once now, realise that we can play out from the back. They realise our defence is a lot stronger. And we seem to turn up on big games. We've been doing it consistently over the last 6 months. When it's a big game, the players lift, and we have a strike force at the front for once. We have a strike force at the front that can do damage, which will keep Van Dijk and Robertson and them just a little bit wary, you know, because they know that. So, that's the only reason why I think we've got a chance. But, again, I think a draw would be a super result for us.
Oh, look, a draw would be absolutely fantastic for you guys. I think that would be phenomenal. I just think after what they did, what they did to Chelsea last week, 2-0. Look, Chelsea made some keeper. He made it a huge monumental screw up. Yeah. But the way they actually played against Chelsea, they lifted again. And I think the way Mane really came out, God, he just showed some brilliance.
You reckon he's the best player in the league, Mane? I reckon he must be up there. One of the.
Oh, yeah, look, absolutely. Well, they actually brought out a thing, and he played 96 games the same as Cristiano Ronaldo at the time, and he's actually scored one more goal than him. And it just goes to show that he's come through and he's actually done extremely well. Mane's fantastic. Salah he's the talisman of the team. Yeah. Mo Salah is a talisman. I tell you what, as long as he's out in that field, he's running around. He's a gentleman. Mo Salah is amazing.
And then we go to Firmino, who I think is the absolute boss general, Brazilian.
Yeah.
Dude, incredible skill. I mean, he went back into the defense last week and started to play from there. I mean, that guy is a freak. He made a new position. It's like the number 19 position or something, by doing that. He's sensational. And what he does to be able to clear all of this space so that the other two can just absolutely wallop at the goals. Oh, he's just stunning. Absolutely stunning footballer. Yeah, and that's what we have to really be conscious of. But finally, we've got some balls in the defense. Finally, And one thing that you cannot say with Arsenal, you haven't been able to say this for a long time, I think our keeping department is good. I think Leno's a fabulous keeper. And we sold Martinez, who I wished we didn't, but he's fabulous too. So we're fine. In the keeper department, I'm not worried. And it's very rare to say that. So, we shall see. That's really going to be intriguing. But then I have to play them again like a few days later in the Carabao Cup again at Anfield.
I know.
So we'll see. But, I mean, it's going to be a fascinating EPL weekend.
It is.
For your sake, that United turn up, because it's really bad if they don't.
Yeah, look, I mean, I hope so, because, I mean, look, I must admit, that first half up against Luton Town, it wasn't a good football. It's not exciting. And I start to look at, I go even, especially Leeds, they're playing exciting football. In fact, almost every team is playing exciting football except for Manchester United at the moment.
No, I reckon Arsenal gave you a bit of a run with that West Ham game, but I was very happy with the Leicester game. That was really good to see. But again, it's that little influx of youth, that's really, really important. They add this energy to it. But I reckon Everton play a really attractive style of football. I've been extremely impressed. I really like what they've got. They've got a really strong nucleus. And also, they don't have to play Europe. They're not playing European football this year. So I think
that's right. Yeah. And that's look, honestly, I actually said, I made a bit of a prediction after the Crystal Palace game about the European side. So the Champions League, I'm not expecting Manchester United to even finish in the top two of their group. I'm just not.
So do you think Europa League footy then again?
I even doubt that.
Wow.
I've really got some doubts. And I think for a lot of the supporters out there, someone actually sent me a message during the week and they said, well, why don't the supporters actually just rise at one and really fire at the Glazers? And it's just like, look, there's a lot more behind it. Yeah. There's so much more behind than just doing that. But at the moment, I think Man U is going to have they need something to jolt them into gear. Yeah. They just do. And if it's a season where we finish, say, 10th, 11th, and I pity for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if that was to happen because he wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Because Edward would be the first. They go to the board, they sit around, they have a cup of tea together, and then they say, no, let's get rid of him and bring in someone else.
But I think, again, I think I've said this point to you, and I said it on a podcast where I had a few of my friends. I think there was 4 of us on this podcast. When you have supporters standing up for something, they need to be able to have something to stand up for.
That's correct.
Arsenal at the moment, if we didn't do any transfers, if we didn't get Gabriel, but we had signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, we'd be going up to the board straight away going, what have you guys done? Why haven't we transferred? We have quality players like him, Lacazette, that are in the team, that are really, really good at what they do, and we're not supporting them. So, of course, there would be something there'd be some fire in the supporters to do something. There's nobody with your club that I know with the supporter base. They're not attracted to any of the players that are on the pitch. They don't really care. I mean, it's hard to rise up and go,
absolutely. I mean, Rio Ferdinand came out after the Crystal Palace game. He absolutely just this is just ridiculous. Berbatov came out during the week and just said, our defence, what's going on? The board needs to start to take accountability for this.
Yeah.
And, so all these old ex-players are now jumping up saying, guys, come on, we've worn, our blood flows Man United.
Yeah.
Come on, you got to do something about it. But
absolutely, and the coat that you're wearing of Man United, that those colours, that pride within that club, it's really, really poor. I mean, the only way I could think of you guys having a really successful, what is it like, with the supporters trying to get their messages, that they need to get all of your ex-players like Ferdinand, Evra. Yeah. They need to get Giggs, who's gone on, Scholes. They need to uproar, and then they bring the supporters along with them and go, this is
right.
Absolutely pathetic. What we've done for the club and what legacy that we made for this club, you guys are treating it like absolute trash, and you've destroyed what our hard work of 20 years was. They were the most feared club in Europe by far. And
correct.
They had, even when they played poorly in seasons, they would still trounce the league because they were that feared. They were like the big bully, And when you do that, you go your way.
Well, I mean, see, when I look at FC Bayern Munich at the moment, that's how Manchester United used to be. They won their treble. They did it last season. Yeah. They'll probably do it again this season. They beat Sevilla in the European Super Cup overnight 2-1. Yeah. And, and I tell you what, they'll do it again.
Yeah. I still think the biggest changing of the guard for United, I think it was a frightful night, I think in 2012, when all the City fans were started singing Hey Jude, and they beat you guys 1-0 that season, and that was the year when I think they won the EPL. That game was basically, for me, whenever I see that, it's really the changing of the guard in Manchester,
Yeah.
Really, really was, because I think the season after, of course, Ferguson, I think, won, but that was his final season, and then that was...
Yeah, that's right. Because, I mean, it's, as I said to you, as we've spoken about, when the Glazers bought them and Ferguson was still there, right? Yeah, look, he had the team. He had the team that won the treble. He still had the team coming through. And then you started to see they, one by one, year by year, they started to drop off.
Yeah.
And you can just see the decline of the club just went down, down, down. And there's been a bit of guts there to keep them where they are. But let's wait and see. Hey, I hope I'm wrong. Hopefully Saturday night they get up. I'd love to see them do Brighton 3-0 and actually send a bit of a message to say, guys, listen, don't give up yet. We know that Crystal Palace was an absolute nightmare. Don't give up.
You just want to see, with your clubs, even if they're not at their top, all you want to see is a comfy victory. You want to see a game where, even if you're 1-0 ahead for 80 minutes and they kick a second goal in the 90th minute, that was always going to happen. I mean, that's why I love the Leicester game. I was just sitting on my couch at 6 o'clock in the morning watching it going, I'm really comfy. I just don't see them scoring a goal. That's all you want to see against the lower clubs. But if you put a performance like Palace, I mean, everybody should be completely outraged. And I reckon all the fan TV sites will start arcing up because it's unacceptable.
Yeah. Look, if it's a draw against Brighton, they will arc up. There's no doubt about that. They will just arc up. I do expect Wan-Bissaka, he's got to start.
Oh.
He has to start. Wan-Bissaka, bloody Maguire, who else? God knows. Let's wait and see.
I preferred your defence in the cup game honestly, I
Yeah.
much preferred them because they just looked more active. They were pressing up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's right.
And I know that we can't say that, it's completely different when it's a League One team and this and that, but that already to me looked much better. It was a match.
Oh, yeah. Look,
The defence.
and that's look, and I think that's what the Carabao Cup's about as well. You know, yes, you can bring your younger players in. The players that are your substitutes, normally they'll get a first game. You know, they'll play the full 90 minutes or 87 of that. And they'll come through and actually show something and a bit of pizzazz. And the manager will be able to tinker with things and say, right, you, and you love it. You piss off.
Yeah.
You know, so look, it's going to be fascinating. I must admit, the game of the round for me, I think it will be Liverpool and Arsenal. I think it's going to be a cracker, and I think it may be 45, 50 minutes before we see someone break loose.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a cracker too, and it's really nice for once to feel like we're not going to get battered by them because we've got a team that can match up with them. We've got a team that's unbeaten now for quite a lot of games. I mean, I can't remember a season since even 2010, 2011 where we've won 3 games in a row at the beginning of the year. We always normally have a loss somewhere, you know. And it's nice to see us beating the lower teams that we normally lose to straight away as well. It's nice to see us actually do that. But having said this, I feel our strength with our team is the fact that when we go away from home, the team is actually set up with its formation to really challenge away games. I'm more worried this year for us if we don't get those 2 midfielders that I hope we get. We don't get them. It's going to be the home games that are going to be hard because we're not set up to play our home games. We're set up to counter-attack. So I'm very glad that we're playing Liverpool right now. I wouldn't want to play them in the middle of the year, but to play them 3 times before October starts, wow.
I know.
It's crazy, but it's nice. We're actually feeling like a big club.
Yeah, and look, and that's great. And I just think the weekend, especially for you guys, I think the match against Liverpool will show where you are at.
Mm.
And I think it may give a lot of your supporters a bit of an indication where you're going to finish as well. And I know it's only early at the moment to talk about that, but I just think you can look at it and say, you know what? Okay, if we go out strong, if it ends up a 2-2 draw as you want it to be, right, that is a fantastic result. If you were to walk away from Anfield, right, 2-2, brilliant.
Oh, I'd be over the moon. I'd be over the moon with a 0-0 draw. Seriously, I wouldn't care if none of the teams scored because it shows that we can play. It shows that we match it with the big boys. It shows that the formation and the work that's being done by the manager is correct. Because normally we get battered 4-1, 5-1. It's a joke when we go there. It's an utter joke. Even if we lost 3-2. I would be really happy because we didn't get battered, you know, and this is...
Look, that's right.
We just don't want to get battered there. And unfortunately, when we played City and Liverpool over the last 3 years, they have not been... We might as well have been Burnley. We might as well have been Brighton because the way that we played against them, it was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic, you know. Club.
Well, all I can say, Matty... We've done the tips. So on Monday, we need a review. We need to go over this. We'll have a look and see how we fared.
Absolutely. I'm expecting to be wrong on half of them. And that's the beauty of this league.
I know.
You know, isn't it? It's the beauty of this league. But I think one thing that we can say here on A Breath of Fresh Footy and at the net is that this is the most exciting season we're going to ever witness because it's so thrilling to see these teams play without crowds. It's really, really interesting to see how the mental side of the game is gone about. And it's really...
Yeah, I was just going to say, have you seen the change so far? Because the actual curfews over in London have changed. So the games are now starting, I think it's 15 minutes earlier because of the curfew. Now, but here's a quick one for you. I was just going through, and I did this at the net, said this at the net on Wednesday when I put it up, that last week's games, there was 44 goals. Prior to that, the record stood at 43 goals, which was back in 2011 at the start of February. So all I can say is I reckon we're going to be in for some massive goals right throughout the season. I think there's going to be some score lines you look at and just go, what the hell? But yeah, look, as you said, Matty, this is extraordinary, beautiful. It's football. It's the world game. We're here. Hey, it doesn't get any better than this.
Absolutely. And that's why, we want to see all of these games, and that's why we want a podcast. If you haven't subscribed to A Breath of Fresh Footy, put a thumbs up on this video on the YouTube link. Also subscribe to our YouTube page, because the more people that subscribe, the more up to date you are with all the podcasts. As Pete was saying, he does his work very, very thoroughly. He finds all this information. I saw that article a couple of days ago on At The Net, which was about this curfew time. So please remember to subscribe to him on Facebook, and we'll see how defences go without their home crowd, because that's what a lot of them do. They really need that structure. They need that roar of the crowd to get them emotionally involved and to make these stops. They're not got that so far, and I reckon it's a huge play as to why the defences have struggled, because there's been a lot of goals. It's a great observation. Remember to subscribe. I love your work, Pete. Excellent coat jersey. Love the Arsenal. They've won an FA Cup. Let's see how they go this week. And thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you very, very soon on.
See you guys.
Thanks, Pete.
Cheers. Thanks, Matty.